Somebody grab a mop. Tears are flooding the swamp.
I'm sure I'll come up with something to make me feel good again. But right now, today, it's hard. I'll be honest with you. And the hardest thing is that I look across this country and tens of millions of people fell for this. And it's depressing. I'll snap out of it, but I'm in a very, very dark tunnel right now.
It's not just Carville. The men of the party, Doug and Timmy, were a little choked up yesterday when Kamala conceded. And Nancy Pelosi, after getting scolded by Donna Brazile, left the party pouting. Little remorse over the coup, Nance? You lost an election and a friend. But that friend is the only Democrat smiling. His name's Joe Biden. Look at the grin. He's the happiest he's looked in years. Is that the guy whose VP just lost to Hitler? Or is that the guy who's saying, I told you so?
I know it's a difficult time. You're hurting. I hear you and I see you. But don't forget all that we accomplished. It's been a historic presidency. Not because I'm president, because what we've done, what you've done. A presidency for all Americans.
Biden's reminding Democrats what they could have had. It's like when your girlfriend breaks up with you for another guy and then the other guy dumps her. See, babe, you didn't know how good you had it. Remember, Biden knew she couldn't win. When Democrats were trying to wax him, he was handing them polls like, guys, she's going to get crushed, look. But they didn't listen. So on the way out the door, he endorsed her. So they had to fall in line. She was a woman of color. What were the Democrats supposed to do? He endorsed a hand grenade, pulled the pin, watch it blow up in November. Biden still thinks he could have won.
Does President Biden believe he could have won if he stayed in this race?
President Biden believes that he made the right decision when he decided to step aside and immediately endorsed the vice president.
Binder knows what Biden did here. Oh, you don't want me? You can have her. Don't say I didn't warn you. Axios says Democrats have started clawing each other's eyes out. One Democrat's fuming that no one stopped Biden sooner, telling NBC, how the hell did we not deal with this problem? He's 80 years old. He was supposed to be a one-termer. The man could barely speak and actually be coherent. It was too late, and we knew we had a Biden problem this time last year. The party knew it, and people truly were not honest. Bloomberg says it probably wasn't great to cover up President Joe Biden's infirmities until they became undeniable on live TV. Democrats are also raging at Biden's arrogance, leaking all over the place. He shouldn't have run. This is no time to pull punches or be concerned about anybody's feelings. He and his staff have done an enormous amount of damage to this country, one Democrat said. And he's a good man who can be proud of his accomplishments, but his legacy is in tatters.
If he had dropped out earlier, there would have been a messy primary. I think you can look at the Harris folks who say that she didn't have enough time to run, but there are others who say this was actually the best scenario for her.
I was going to say, I think a lot of people probably thought
right?
she would have lost a primary.
Well, not just that, but like even if it had been 2 months earlier, like more time would not necessarily have benefited Kamala Harris. And look, Joe Biden's legacy is going to be defined by the fact that Donald Trump won.
The New York Times says Biden's legacy will forever be defined as a one-term president who set his party on a path to failure. Ouch. Guess we're going to have to start carving his name into Mount Rushmore. We hear Obama's already calling off construction at the Biden Presidential Library. They think this is all on Joe, not them.
Forget about Barack Obama, Nancy Pelosi, and the others. They need to face the reality of that. And perhaps the real point was maybe Joe Biden should have decided very early that one term was enough and give the party a chance to have a primary election, and maybe the outcome could have been different.
It's not just Obama. It's Kamala, too. People close to Harris think Joe Biden's the singular reason Kamala Harris and Democrats lost. Biden's loyalists were irate after hearing that, clapping back, saying they'd love to have whatever they're drinking. Biden world pointing their fingers at Kamala and Barack. There's no singular reason why we lost, but a big reason is because the Obama advisors publicly encouraged Democratic infighting to push Joe Biden out. didn't even want Kamala Harris as the nominee, and then signed up as the saviors of the campaign, only to run outdated Obama-era playbooks for a candidate that wasn't Obama. And some Democrats actually agree. They're blaming the loss squarely on Obama's people, saying they're stuck in 2009. One Democrat says the team that's there, it's time for them to retire. We need a whole different strategy. The day of Obama and his geniuses are over. They've been left behind. They're out of touch with the American people. The Democratic Party is out of touch. Obama's campaign manager, David Plouffe, who took the reins of the Harris campaign, has already gone into hiding. He deleted his Twitter account today. And Democrats even have their knives out for George Clooney, who pulled the trigger in the New York Times. One saying, "Someone bring me George Clooney. We need to have a talk." People are blaming Biden. Other people are blaming Barack. Some people are blaming Harris. This is the top Democrat in Philly saying the campaign was just sloppy.
The national campaign, nothing, zero. They had no respect. They had no coordination. They didn't talk. I never even had a conversation with the lady. First time ever. They didn't even do the right thing as far as giving us the resources that we need, and they want to blame us. And now I understand someone ever came was blaming Joe Biden. Can you imagine blaming Joe Biden for her loss? She lost. He didn't lose.
The Harris team's firing back. If there's any immediate takeaway from Philadelphia's turnout this cycle, it's that Chairman Brady's decades-long practice of fleecing campaigns for money to make up for his own lack of fundraising ability or leadership is a worthless endeavor that no future campaign should ever be forced to entertain again. Kamala is accusing the Philly Democratic Party boss of stealing her money. And this is just breaking. Even though she raised $1 billion, she ended the campaign $20 million in debt. Maybe they did fleece her, but insiders say Kamala's campaign chief spent the cash on concerts with celebrities. Beyonce's appearance fee has to be huge. Think about it. It's not just the campaigns fighting with each other. The left is on the warpath against the far left. Bernie Sanders is saying it should come as no great surprise that the Democratic Party, which has abandoned working class people, would find that the working class has abandoned them. Not so fast, Bernie.
I have a concern that the far left is pressuring the party to take policy positions that are deeply unpopular among most Americans. If you're speaking to working class people of color, then you would realize that there was never a mass constituency for a movement like defund the police. And so we should be taking positions that are in line with the majority of Americans.
And they're all screaming at each other.
The next time that some son of a on MSNBC or in the Democratic Party tells you, oh no, be a good boy and girl, be civil, and vote for Democratic leaders, they know what they're doing. Those are the same goddamn liars that told you that Joe Biden was totally fine. If you're on the left, you're a Democratic voter. Wakey, wakey. I need to wake you up out of the hypnosis that you're in. They're lying to you. Why do you think they keep losing? You think they keep telling you how smart they are and how they're going to deliver you victories. And all they ever do is deliver loss after loss after loss. So Democratic voters, snap out of it. These guys are obvious liars. Fire them all. Fire them all.
The machine is a wreck. Democrats can only operate as a mob. They can't function fighting like this. Bottom line is this. It didn't matter when Biden got out. The damage was done. He and Harris destroyed the dollar and the border and went crazy with DEI. The country's had it with Biden, Obama, Kamala, the Clintons, Nancy, and Chuck. So what's next for the Democrats? If they're really going to turn the page, who's going to step up and take the throne? One Democrat says, to be determined. I couldn't point to anyone. It's a vacuum. Bring back James Carville. They want to put this guy in charge.
Vice President Harris said she likes to eat Doritos. Yeah, she eats Doritos. You see? Doritos. There you go. Oh, God. He's eating Doritos.
Click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You won't get it anywhere else.